Hello and welcome to The Wise Senior, your trusted guide to staying healthy, safe, and independent after 60. Today we're addressing a question few dare to ask out loud. Is masturbation still normal, or even healthy, after age 70? You might be surprised by what science really says. We'll explore myths, hard data, sexual function, emotional well-being, and yes, heart health. Stick with us, because by the end of this video, you'll have a clearer, more compassionate view of your body, your needs, and your options. No shame, no taboo, just facts, support, and wisdom. Let's begin with the question that most people are too shy to ask out loud, but still type into search engines in the quiet of night. Is masturbation harmful for men over 70? The answer is simple. No, it's not harmful. In fact, from a medical and scientific standpoint, masturbation is one of the safest and most natural forms of sexual expression at any age. It doesn't drain your energy. It doesn't cause baldness. It doesn't lower testosterone, damage your heart, or wear out your body. These are old myths, not backed by evidence. More importantly, there is no proof that regular ejaculation, whether through partnered sex or self-stimulation, contributes to any form of long-term physical decline. On the contrary, studies show that it can promote prostate function, help maintain healthy circulation in the pelvic area, and contribute to emotional well-being. Why does this matter more as we age? Because after 70, the body naturally begins to change. Blood flow may slow, hormones shift, and emotional health becomes more fragile. But maintaining some level of sexual expression, including solo intimacy, can help support mental clarity, better sleep, stress relief, and even improve confidence. Let's also clear up a common misunderstanding. Masturbation is not less appropriate in older adulthood. That belief is rooted in outdated social norms, not science. Today's medical understanding sees sexuality as a lifelong human experience, not something that expires at a certain birthday. Urologists and geriatric health professionals alike agree that there is no age limit to safely enjoying self-pleasure, as long as it doesn't cause discomfort or interfere with daily functioning. In fact, for many older adults, especially those who are widowed, single, or navigating physical challenges, masturbation remains a meaningful form of connection to the body, to pleasure, and to self-awareness. Still, let's be honest, the more interesting question isn't just whether masturbation is safe after 70. The deeper question is, do men over 70 still want to? Is the desire still there? And what happens when it is, but the body doesn't respond like it used to? That's where things get personal. That's where science, emotion, identity, and real-life experience intersect. And that's exactly what we'll explore in the next segment. So if you're in your 70s or beyond, or care about someone who is, stick with us. Now that we've clarified that masturbation after 70 is not harmful, the next natural question is, how common is it really? Thanks to several large-scale studies, we have a clearer picture than ever before, and the findings might surprise you. Let's begin with one of the most cited sources, a U.S. population-based survey from 2010 involving 5,865 men and women aged 14 to 94. When researchers isolated the data for men aged 70 and older, a group often left out of these discussions, the numbers told an interesting story. In that older male group, 27.9% reported masturbating within the past month. 46.4% said they had done so within the past year. That's nearly half of men in their 70s and beyond who remain sexually expressive, even if only occasionally. Why is that significant? Because these are not just statistics, they're signs of a deeper truth: desire doesn't retire. Our bodies change with age, but curiosity, imagination, and intimacy don't vanish. They evolve. Let's zoom out and add some international context. A Norwegian study from 2021, involving 4,160 participants aged 18 to 89, gave us another set of insights. In that study, 22.5% of men aged 70 and older reported masturbating within the past month. Interestingly, that placed them ahead of some younger groups in terms of consistency. For example, only 4.5% of men under 30 had masturbated in the previous month in that same dataset. It might sound surprising, even backwards, but it reveals something important. Frequency doesn't always follow age in a straight line. So what explains the difference? The answer may lie in how we understand motivation. For older men, the decision to masturbate may be less about peak hormones and more about emotional wellness, routine, physical comfort, or even curiosity. In contrast, younger men, though more biologically driven, may experience more distractions, pressures, or insecurities around performance. And here's where it gets even more compelling. A 2020 meta-analysis published in European Urology Focus, one of the most respected journals in the field, looked at 75 separate studies exploring sexual desire and function across age groups. What they found challenges the idea that aging automatically equals disinterest. In men aged 70 and above, sexual desire ranged widely, from 16% to as high as 80%, depending on individual health, mindset, emotional factors, and partnership status. That kind of range tells us one thing loud and clear: there is no one-size-fits-all experience of aging. Some men lose interest in sex or self-stimulation early. Others remain highly engaged well into their 70s, 80s, or even 90s. The spectrum is real, and it's more influenced by personal history, physical health, emotional well-being, and cultural attitudes than by age alone. That brings us to a powerful insight: interest remains, even when activity slows. It's not uncommon for a man to feel desire, but experience frustration if his body doesn't cooperate like it used to. This is where emotional health, expectations, and gentle self-acceptance play a critical role. Now, some might ask, if so many men are still interested, why aren't the numbers higher? The answer lies in two realities. Physical limitations, like erectile dysfunction, fatigue, or prostate changes, can make masturbation more challenging. Social stigma, especially in cultures where elder sexuality is taboo, can lead men to suppress or ignore their own desires, even in private. But the takeaway is this: just because someone is in their 70s or beyond, doesn't mean they've lost the capacity or the interest in intimacy with themselves. In fact, as we'll explore in the next segment, the desire may be very much alive, even if the function changes. So here's what the data really tells us. Masturbation is still practiced by many men over 70. Sexual desire varies greatly, but doesn't disappear. Cultural silence may distort our understanding of what's normal. And most importantly, aging doesn't mean disconnection. It just means a new kind of expression. Stick with us, because next we'll talk about how the body changes with age, and what it really means when physical response doesn't match emotional desire. Let's take a moment to talk about a subject that carries a lot of weight, and even more misunderstanding: erectile function. It's no secret that as men age, their bodies change. And one of the most noticeable and sometimes most distressing changes for many is how their sexual response shifts. Specifically, we're talking about the frequency, firmness, and predictability of erections. Here's the data. In a meta-analysis published in European Urology Focus, researchers reviewed results from 75 different studies and found that up to 70% of men over age 70 experience some degree of erectile dysfunction, ED. That includes mild, moderate, or complete difficulty in achieving or maintaining an erection. At first glance, that number might seem daunting, but let's take a closer look, because the story doesn't end there. First, we need to understand this erectile dysfunction is not a failure. It's not a disease in and of itself. It's a natural, gradual change that occurs as the vascular, hormonal, and nervous systems evolve over time. Blood flow slows, nerve sensitivity declines slightly, and hormone levels, particularly testosterone, tend to decrease. It's biology, not brokenness. What's even more important, and far less talked about, is that orgasmic function is separate from erectile function. That's right, you can still experience orgasm, pleasure, and release, even without a full erection. This is a fact that surprises many men, and even more of their partners. You see, the male sexual response isn't just a binary switch of working or not working. It's a continuum. And in later life, the quality of that experience can become deeper, richer, and more emotionally connected, even as the mechanics shift. For example, some older men report more prolonged arousal, heightened skin sensitivity, and a greater emotional connection during intimacy, even if the physical response isn't as strong or immediate as it once was. So if you're over 70 and noticing that erections aren't as consistent or firm, know that you're not alone. You're part of a large majority. But also know this, your ability to enjoy and express sexuality doesn't have to disappear. Let's talk about another misconception, that men with ED are devastated by it. That's often true for younger men, who may tie their sense of identity, masculinity, and self-worth tightly to their sexual performance. But here's the surprising truth. According to the same research, bother about ED actually drops with age. Among men in their 60s, concern about ED was reported by up to 70%. Among men over 70, that number dropped to between 6.7% and 48%. And by the time men reached 80 and above, the percentage who reported being truly bothered by erectile dysfunction dropped to just 38%. That's a remarkable shift, and it tells us something powerful. As men age, many begin to redefine what intimacy means to them. Instead of chasing perfection, they embrace presence. Instead of seeing sexual response as a performance, they see it as a conversation, a shared moment, not a test to pass or fail. This shift often comes with a sense of freedom. Freedom from performance pressure, freedom from ego-driven expectations, freedom from needing everything to go right for the experience to be meaningful. It also comes with a deeper understanding of why many older men continue to masturbate or seek intimacy, even if erections are unpredictable or absent altogether. For some, it's a way to maintain a physical connection with their own body, to feel alive, responsive, and grounded. For others, it's a form of emotional regulation, a way to release stress, anxiety, or loneliness. And for many, it's simply a quiet, private way to experience joy. This brings us to a key insight. Sexual function after 70 isn't about achieving the perfect erection. It's about tuning into what feels good, what supports your emotional health, and what allows you to stay connected to your body without judgment. And that might look different from person to person. Let's meet Harold, 74 years old, retired architect, widowed 3 years ago. Harold noticed that since his late 60s, he had difficulty maintaining an erection. At first, it worried him. He searched online, felt confused by all the conflicting advice, and wondered if something was wrong with him. But over time, Harold began to experiment, gently, patiently. He found that when he took his time, focused on breath and touch, and let go of expectations, he still experienced pleasure. And not just physical, but emotional, too. The kind of calm and release he hadn't felt in years. His secret? He stopped trying to be 25 again, and started listening to his 74-year-old body, which was still capable of feeling, connecting, and enjoying. So if you take away just one message from this segment, let it be this. Sexual response is not an all-or-nothing switch. Just because something has changed doesn't mean it's over. Just because your body responds differently doesn't mean it has stopped responding altogether. And just because the world tells you that erections define manhood doesn't mean you have to believe it. In later life, it's not about function in the technical sense. It's about connection, comfort, and a deeper understanding of what it means to truly enjoy being in your own skin. Stick around, because next we'll explore what motivates older adults to continue sexual self-care, and how that motivation goes far beyond just desire. There's a phrase you've likely heard before: use it or lose it. And while it's often applied to muscle tone, mental sharpness, or even flexibility, it's just as true when it comes to sexual function. As we age, our bodies change. That much is inevitable. But what's often overlooked is this: not all changes are unavoidable. When it comes to maintaining sexual vitality, especially for men over 70, gentle, regular stimulation may help preserve the very pathways and mechanisms that support arousal, erection, and emotional satisfaction. It's not about chasing youth. It's about honoring the systems you already have and giving them just enough activity to stay responsive. Let's break this down. Think about your cardiovascular system. When you walk regularly, even slowly, your circulation improves. Your heart becomes more efficient. Your blood vessels stay elastic. Stop walking for a month. Your stamina drops. Muscles get stiff. Joints ache. The same principle applies to your penile tissue and sexual response system. Without regular blood flow, without even mild, consistent stimulation, the smooth muscle fibers and capillaries in the penis can begin to deteriorate. This process is gradual and often silent, but over time it can lead to reduced elasticity, diminished sensation, and more difficulty in achieving arousal, even if the desire remains. That's why urologists often emphasize not just sexual activity with a partner, but also solo activity, as a form of what could be called sexual maintenance. Not for performance, not for ego, but for health. Let's meet someone who embodies this idea. Richard is 76, a former high school principal. He lives alone in a quiet suburban neighborhood. After his wife passed away 5 years ago, he withdrew from intimacy entirely. It wasn't out of grief alone, but from a belief that those days were behind him. But recently, after reading a book on aging and men's health, Richard decided to explore again. He began with simple practices, slow breathing, light pelvic floor exercises, and yes, gentle self-touch, once or twice a week. No pressure, no expectations. And what he noticed shocked him. Over time. His sensitivity began to return. His energy improved, and perhaps most importantly, his sense of self, his connection to his own body, felt renewed. This isn't a rare story. In fact, many doctors report that older men who resume intimacy after long breaks often face unexpected physical challenges, not because they've done anything wrong, but because inactivity leads to change, and some of those changes are hard to reverse. Here's the science behind it. When the penis is regularly stimulated, whether through masturbation or partner activity, blood flow increases. This nourishes the tissues with oxygen and helps remove waste products. The corpus cavernosum, the sponge-like region that fills with blood during arousal, stays healthy and elastic. But when there's little or no activity for long periods, fibrosis, a stiffening of tissue, can begin. Blood vessels may narrow, nerve responsiveness can dull. It's no different than what happens when we don't stretch, don't walk, or don't lift light objects. Disuse invites decline. That's why the phrase "use it or lose it" is not a scare tactic. It's a gentle truth. And it's one that empowers us, not pressures us, to stay engaged with our own bodies in ways that feel natural and meaningful. Let's clarify something important. This is not about frequency targets or performance metrics. It's not about needing to be sexually active 3 or 4 times a week. For some men, that's just not realistic or even desirable. Instead, it's about consistency over intensity, a quiet rhythm of engagement that keeps the body familiar with its own sensations. That may mean a few times a month, or once a week, or simply staying open to pleasure when it arises. There's also a strong emotional benefit here. When men remain sexually active, even in small ways, they report feeling more connected, more grounded, and more in control of their own aging journey. And in a world where many older adults feel their bodies are slipping away, that sense of agency is powerful. Let's also address a question some might ask. What if I haven't been sexually active in years? Is it too late to start again? The answer, no, but be patient. Just as it would take time to regain flexibility after years of stiffness, it may take time for your sexual response to reawaken. That's normal. That's okay. It's not about perfection. It's about kindness, curiosity, and reconnecting.
If you're unsure where to begin, consider these gentle approaches. Begin with awareness.
Take a few moments each day to check in with your body. No agenda, just noticing. Practice pelvic floor engagement. Light contractions, similar to Kegels, can improve blood flow and muscle tone. Use warmth and breath. Warm baths, gentle self-touch, and slow breathing can begin to activate dormant pathways. Speak to a doctor. If you're concerned about circulation or sensation, a urologist can help you assess your starting point. And most of all, remove the pressure. There is no finish line, no age where it's too late to feel pleasure or connection. Whether you're 60, 70, or 90, your body is still yours, and it still deserves your attention. So the message is this: if you wish to maintain some aspect of your sexual vitality, solo activity is a valid, healthy, and proactive way to do that. If you've stepped away for a while, it's okay to return slowly. And if you choose not to engage at all, that's okay too. What matters most is that your choices come from a place of listening, not limiting. Use it or lose it is not a command. It's a reminder that our bodies respond to kindness, to activity, and to our willingness to show up, even in small, quiet ways. In the next segment, we'll explore the emotional reasons older adults continue to engage in self-pleasure, and why, for many, it's less about sex and more about emotional resilience. When most people think of masturbation, they immediately associate it with sexual desire. But for older men, especially those over 70, the reasons for self-stimulation are often far more layered, emotional, and personal than many might assume. Let's begin with a powerful truth. Desire doesn't disappear with age, but even when it shifts or fades, the need for comfort, connection, and emotional regulation remains. So why do older men continue this practice? One reason is simple: to feel better emotionally. In fact, a large-scale study involving over 20,000 men revealed that self-stimulation was just as much about mood regulation as it was about arousal. Many participants cited reasons like stress relief, better sleep, easing loneliness, or managing sadness, especially in the face of life transitions like retirement, illness, or the loss of a longtime partner. Let's take a closer look. For some men, masturbation offers a sense of routine and self-care. It's not driven by lust, but by the desire to feel grounded, to relax, and to reconnect with one's body. Just like journaling, meditating, or taking a long walk, it can become a quiet, personal ritual, one that supports emotional balance. After all, aging brings with it more than just physical changes. It brings a new relationship with solitude. Children grow up, social circles shrink. Physical intimacy may no longer be as frequent or accessible. In these moments, self-touch is not just about pleasure, it's about affirming presence, identity, and control. For others, it's about helping the body wind down. Sleep disturbances are common in older adults, and masturbation is known to help release endorphins and promote relaxation, making it easier to fall asleep naturally. There's also the mental health component. Regular self-stimulation has been shown to reduce cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, and trigger the release of dopamine and oxytocin. These are the same chemicals associated with feelings of happiness, calm, and connection. In a world that often becomes noisier, more uncertain, and more isolating as we age, these feel-good hormones are no small gift. They soothe the nervous system, boost resilience, and help older adults manage the emotional challenges that can come with this stage of life. And let's not overlook another important point. For men who've gone through illness, divorce, or bereavement, masturbation can serve as a bridge, a way to begin reconnecting with their sensual selves, gently and privately, on their own terms. It's not about replacing a partner. It's about healing the relationship with one's own body. Of course, the motivation can change from day to day and from person to person. For some, it's about curiosity. For others, it's simply a part of their routine. And for many, it's about comfort, a moment of calm in a world that doesn't always offer it freely. What's most important to understand is this: there is no right reason to engage in self-pleasure at an older age, and there is certainly no shame in it. It's a private act, yes, but also a deeply human one that reflects not only how we connect with our bodies, but also how we cope, how we grieve, and how we nurture ourselves through change. So whether it's once a month or a few times a week, whether it's motivated by desire, habit, comfort, or emotional need, the takeaway is simple. Your reasons are valid, your body is still yours, and your emotional needs deserve attention, just like your physical ones. Coming up next, we'll take a look at how to approach this practice safely and comfortably, especially for those with health concerns or mobility challenges. When it comes to masturbation after the age of 70, one of the final and most frequently asked concerns is about the heart. Is it safe? Could it trigger a cardiac event? Should older men be worried? The short and reassuring answer is, in most cases, no, it's not dangerous. For healthy seniors, masturbation is generally considered a low-risk activity. The physical exertion involved is usually mild, especially when compared to other forms of physical intimacy or exercise. The heart rate might rise slightly, and blood pressure may temporarily increase, but this is well within what the body can typically handle, even at an older age. What's important to understand is that solo sexual activity doesn't put the same strain on the heart as something like running or lifting weights. For most older adults who are otherwise active, walking regularly, climbing stairs, engaging in light chores, the cardiovascular demands of masturbation are minimal. It's comparable to gentle stretching or mild physical effort. But, and this is key, If you've been diagnosed with heart disease, especially if you've experienced a recent heart attack, heart surgery, or ongoing symptoms like chest pain or shortness of breath, it's smart to consult your doctor first. Think of it not as a warning, but as a wise precaution. A simple heart checkup, an EKG or stress test, can rule out any concerns and help you approach intimacy with peace of mind. This is especially true if you've been sexually inactive for many years, as sudden re-engagement, even with yourself, can feel surprisingly intense. Some men, out of caution or anxiety, hold back from any form of stimulation, fearing it might push the limits. But avoiding pleasure altogether isn't the solution. With the right medical guidance, most men can return to these activities safely and even benefit from them emotionally and physically. Studies have shown that a healthy sex life, including masturbation, is associated with improved sleep, mood regulation, and even cardiovascular health. That's right, regular release may contribute positively to blood flow, hormonal balance, and stress reduction, all of which support heart health. So here's the takeaway: masturbation is not inherently risky for the heart. For most men over 70, it can be a safe, healthy part of life, one that contributes to emotional well-being and a sense of connection with the body. If there's any doubt, get a quick checkup. It's a small step that brings reassurance and allows you to move forward with confidence, clarity, and comfort. Because your health matters, and so does your happiness. Here's what we truly hope you'll carry with you from today's conversation. Masturbation is not something to feel ashamed of, and it never has been. It's a normal, safe, and healthy part of being human, regardless of your age. The body's need for touch, comfort, and release doesn't suddenly disappear after 50, 60, or even 80. In fact, as we grow older, caring for our emotional and physical well-being becomes even more essential. Sexual desire doesn't have an expiration date. It might evolve, becoming gentler, quieter, or more focused on connection, but that doesn't make it less valid. Your body, even with its changes, still deserves attention, care, and respect. Whether you're active or not, partnered or living solo, what matters most is how you feel and how connected you remain to yourself. So please remember, you're not too old, you're not past your time, you're human. And being human means honoring your needs with kindness, dignity, and curiosity. Stay open, stay gentle with yourself, and above all, stay connected to your joy, your body, and the life you're still beautifully living. If this video resonated with you, please leave a comment, even just a number like 123, to let us know you're here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more daily wisdom from the Wise Senior. Thanks for watching video. Until next time, take care and take pride in every part of your journey.